When you're born in this world, you're given a ticket to the freak show.
It's reminiscent of those pictures we've all seen too much on television before, when a building was deliberately destroyed by well-placed dynamite to knock it down.
And when you're born in America, you're given a front row seat.
So part of it is we have to break through our kind of private idea that kids belong to their parents.
Forget the politicians. The politicians are put there to give you the idea that you have freedom of choice. You don't.
There is no America. There is no democracy.
You have no choice. You have owners. They own you.
There is only IBM and ITT and AT&T and DuPont, Dow, Union Carbide, and Exxon. Those are the nations of the world today.
It's a big club, and you ain't in it.
Do you know how naive you sound?
Why?
Senators and presidents don't have men killed.
Oh. Who's being naive, Kay?
They got you by the ball.
The Supreme Court's decision means gay rights now trump religious liberty. And if you think the cultural purging of the southern states has been breathtaking, wait until you see what the activists are about to unleash on American Christians. Churches and faith-based organizations should be prepared to be hit with lawsuits and government investigations. Pastors who refuse to perform gay marriages and preach from the Bible should prepare for hate crime charges. All dissent will be silenced. But I believe that an overwhelming number of Christians will defy the law. Governor Mike Huckabee said this just moments ago. I will not acquiesce to an imperial court, and he vows to resist and reject judicial tyranny. In closing, I'm reminded of something the late Charles Colson wrote. If we're not willing to fight this, even to the point of breaking the law or refusing to recognize the law, then we lose everything. Given the choice of obeying God or the government, I believe Christians will obey God, even if there is hell to pay.
Well, all right. What up, freaks? Hello, hello, hello. Hello, and welcome to the front row at the Freak Show. I am your host, Crafty, coming to you live here from FEMA Region 1, and back on Blog Talk Radio. No, I'm not going to, be all sour grapes here. I'm hoping that, with our little hiatus from Blog Talk Radio, that, we're going to turn a corner with BTR together here. And flat bottom line, I've put it out on Facebook and all that sort of stuff, that just the audio the other way and streaming live through Ustream and trying to pipe in Bax and Adamizer and the phone calls, it just wasn't good audio, and damn it, not fair to you, my fellow freaks who are tuning into us each and every week. So for now, yes, BTR has some technical difficulties and things that we have to deal with from time to time, but had a big front row meeting with the front row boys, and we kind of collectively decided that the devil you do know much better than the one you don't. So anyway, tonight's episode 19, good time to be gay, Greek, not so much. And if you'd like to get in touch with us, please head on over to frontrowatthefreakshow.com, click on the About tab, and you got all the different ways that you can reach out to us and Adamizer and Bax, who we just found out actually just a little prior to the show that unfortunately Bax will not be joining us tonight. And, I'm hoping that Adamizer is going to find his way here. because there was confusion onto which platform we were going to do tonight. And, he asked via email about an hour ago, 2 hours ago, or I told him like 5 hours ago, and then just before we came on, I saw an email from him asking which one again we're doing. So hopefully he finds us here on blogtalkradio.com. For all you freaks, if you'd like to call in tonight, and we do appreciate it, and if you can, would love to hear from you, 646-668-8756, and that's all you got to do. So again, 646-668-8756. Give us a call. Let us know your thoughts here in the front row. As always, we got another super jam-packed couple of hours ahead for you tonight. And I was thinking, I don't know, how was I going to phrase it? I'll tell you, if shit isn't about to totally hit the fan really soon, it sure is doing a hell of an impersonation. It is just amazing, the news that has been flying in the last few months with everything that's going on, and whispers of World War III, and obviously economic news that is not good pretty much anywhere around the globe that you want to go. Well, except for, of course, places like Iceland. Iceland, for those that don't know, actually suffered the same fate, if not worse, and if not a little sooner than we did here in the 07-08 financial meltdown. But Iceland did things a little bit differently, and they did not bail out the banks and the bankers. Instead, they let them go bankrupt. And now they were one of the fastest, they went through some hurt, no doubt, those first couple of years. But now they are one of the faster growing economies on the globe. So, coincidence? I do not think so. Oh, hey, I did want to point out that we do have 3 new videos we put up this week on YouTube. Bax put one out. He put out an edition of his Backstage Pass. I believe it was from episode 17. And it's got, a nice little slideshow presentation to go along with that. And then I put out 2. The second one was Dead Pets and what not to do with them. Check it out. So it's actually all based off a story of a bill being proposed in Massachusetts about pet burial. Kind of creepy and interesting all at once. And, goody. The third one was the one I wanted to mention while we brought Adamizer into the fold, because the third one was about the Confederate flag. And trying to think of what the hell I named it now. But the third one, the first one I did earlier in the week was about the Confederate flag. They're all on frontrowatthefreakshow.com. They're all on YouTube, Front Row at the Freak Show, so please take a look. So why don't we, it looks like he found us, why don't we bring Adamizer on in and we can get started talking about all that and anything else that comes along. Adamizer, you found us?
Yeah, you hear me?
I do.
I need to answer your emails, man. What the hell?
Right. Mm-hmm.
I had no idea where we were going to be found tonight. I'm glad I was able to figure that out. 50-50 shot, right?
I answered all of them. You do know that, right?
No, I didn't know that. Are you going to my spam box, perhaps?
That could be.
And who else am I not getting emails from? Because I was supposed to get something else from somebody else earlier today. That's interesting.
Yeah, I didn't even answer you, and I put out at 4 o'clock. I made the call for BTR, and then I answered your first email, and then I just answered your second email. But, hey, let's not get into that here and now. You're here. That's all that's important. We can figure that issue out later. I don't know what you caught of the intro, Adamizer. I guess the biggest thing that you might want to know is that, unfortunately, Bax will not be joining us tonight. He had something come up. So a little bit like the old days here with just Crafty and Adamizer coming at you for the next couple of hours. And, other than that, Adamizer, well, number one, how you doing? How's it going?
Oh, I'm all right. I'm in the middle of a couple of Twitter battles. I'm hoping maybe I can get one of these folks to call in and give us a little entertainment.
That would be fantastic.
But yeah, I'm enjoying myself. It's been a good week. Love wins as far as the Supreme Court's concerned. 8 dozen as far as the South Carolina State Capitol is concerned, and things are going well for once.
Yeah, well, it's funny because I don't know if you heard this part, but and I agree, at least with regard to the the Supreme Court decision, but almost in every other aspect, right? I had said that if shit isn't about to totally hit the fan, that it sure is doing a hell of an impression or an impersonation of it. It just seems like when you're talking Greece and the rest of the world economy and a lot of these other issues, it's like wow, kind of just talking about the many directions that we could go tonight if we so chose. It just seems like there is no shortage of topics or things going on that happen in the freak show.
Yeah. Yeah, it's in what sense? Elaborate for me a little bit.
Well, I guess well, let's do this, okay? Because I was telling all the freaks out there that there were 3 new videos up on YouTube on the Front Row at the Freak Show channel. Baxter did one of his backstage pass, and he, kind of set it to, like a slideshow presentation. I did one called Dead Pets and What Not to Do with Them. And a third was the issue on the Confederate flag. And let me just, it's funny, I did it. I made it. It was just a week ago, and I forgot the name of it. But the Confederate flag and why you shouldn't give a fuck. That's it. And certainly when you, I guess, bring up the issue overall, yes, we can look at some minor victories there. But when you look at the reasoning of a lot of the Americans or other people, right, it is one of those things that you can throw in the pile of, holy shit, really? And I did want to wait until I brought that video up, until I got you aboard here. I figured we could spend a minute or two talking about that. My stance, Adamizer, pretty much was that, it was funny because I had pointed to Ann Coulter, who I'm sure you're a big fan of.
Oh, yeah, I love her, yeah, the Ice Queen.
Yeah, great girl. But anyway, she got on and she was trying to learn the governor of South Carolina there, Nikki Haley, I believe her name is. And so anyway, she was trying to teach Miss Haley a little bit of American history and tell her that it's a battle flag, that is being waved, at least the one in South Carolina, and I'm sure the one that is on all state capitals. And, she went on to talk about how Robert E. Lee and the Southern Army was one of the great military, he was one of the greatest military generals of all time. This was one of the greatest armies of all time, and all of that, okay? My overall point was that, and I'm still trying to find another example where the loser of a war is able to fly their flag in the land of the victor. I'm still looking around for that, and I haven't quite found it. You know.
Yep.
You know.
Yeah. Well, you know, I've seen all kinds of craziness online this week about it. It seems to be a hot button issue for a lot of people. Everybody's saying that stores were forced or bullied. I saw the word bullied into stopping sales of the Confederate flag and all this other nonsense that's just ridiculous. I mean, especially where this is coming from supposedly conservatives, right-wing people who are supposed to be of the mind that businesses can do whatever they want and whatever they feel is best for their business. And, you know, what else is happening here besides Amazon, Walmart, et cetera, deciding it's best for their business not to sell this? So they're really taking issue with private business owners making that decision. As for whether or not it should fly over a fucking public building, I can tell you this. In Germany, the only place you're going to see a Nazi flag is in a museum. And that's really the way it ought to be here. I mean, there is no fucking honor in, and I'm sorry that your granddaddy or whatever else got duped into fighting for slavery. But he was fighting for slavery, and there's no fucking honor in that flag. Now, do I think that the battle of symbols is something that should be a huge hot-button issue? No. I refer to George Carlin's comment of leave the symbols to the symbol-minded. But nonetheless, it's, if we are going to live in a world where certain symbols are flown above public buildings and other ones aren't, that flag doesn't belong above a fucking public building, and you don't really need to be a rocket scientist or even a fucking northerner to figure that out.
Right. Correct. And I think, we disagree on this a little bit, probably personally, because at least the second part of my video, I was like, hey, if you're an individual or what have you, you have every right to fucking wallpaper your fucking room in it, right? I don't care. Go nuts. That's part and parcel of, freedom of speech and expression and all that stuff, right? So, I think that you and I disagree on that. And I don't necessarily, when you're talking about symbols, I do not see the flag or that flag as a symbol of slavery or racism. I just don't, I think to me, if anything, it's a symbol of a really black mark in the history of this country. Right. And a time that needs to be remembered for everything that it was. And, I think the thing that, yes, slavery was an issue, and we started getting on this in one of the more recent episodes, without a doubt. But there was also a states' rights issue at hand, and obviously history is one. History is written by the victors, right? So I think there's a lot of clouded history there. There's certainly a lot of Southerners that were not slave owners, so it's a topic we really could. The whole thing could be an entire show. I think that we could spend on it. Bottom line, it is about as much time as I want to spend on it here tonight. To me, by and of itself, it does not represent slavery or racism. It's not the things that are conjured up in me when I see that flag. And a period and a story. Yeah.
Yeah, I think, and again, there are people out there that are making the claim that, it symbolizes something different to me, so it should be allowed. Now, here's the thing. If they were trying to ban people from flying the Confederate flag on their own property, I could understand that. I could understand people griping about that. Okay, if you want to be a bigot and a fucking slave monger and a racist, you want to fucking burn a cross on your own lawn, go right ahead. It's your fucking lawn. We live in a society that respects private property that way, and I could go on all day from my economic feelings about that. But as long as we live in a society that lets you do what you want on your own fucking property, go right ahead. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about public buildings. We're talking about buildings everybody goes to. And if a sizable amount of the public sees that as a symbol of the fight for slavery, then I think, the public has a right to demand that be taken down. And, it's really that simple. I don't think there's any excuse for trying to fight to have this on top of a public building. I mean, again, I don't see anybody in Germany fighting to fly a Nazi flag over their public building. And in that case, we're talking about something that was 70 years ago, not well over, not 150 years ago. So, yeah, get the fuck over it. That's my thinking.
Correct. Yeah, absolutely. And it really is that simple. And of course, typical, I'll say it, stupid Americans, get caught up in an issue like this when there is so much more going on, aka Greece, or all sorts of different economic issues that we could talk about. And I'd like to take a few minutes and talk about the situation going on in Greece. But it's this emotional, hot button topic that politicians are chiming in on, and celebrities are chiming in on, and it's just fucking ridiculous and a waste of time, right? I completely have bigger fish to fry in this country than in the flag or an old flag. Yeah,
no, it's again. I think this show should be a non-issue. It's fucking ridiculous to me that this is taking up everybody's airtime and everything else. They made the right decision to bring it down. If you don't agree with that, write a nasty letter to somebody. I don't give a fuck. But to give this the kind of attention that it's gotten, I think is only another indication of how sick and twisted Americans have become from swilling Fox News and fucking listening to people who prey upon their hate to push their own agenda.
Absolutely. All right, let's move it along, Adamizer. And I got a funny, actually 2-minute clip here because, like I said, I wanted to spend a few minutes on Greece, if we could. Not a ton of time. I kind of want to sink my teeth into the main topic, but just a quick little. It's about 2:25 of a clip I stumbled on, and I think it was actually entitled "The Greece Crisis in Under 3 Minutes." So let's give this a listen.
Thanks for your time tonight.
It's very good to be with you. My pleasure. Good evening.
I understand you're an economist.
I am an economist, yes, indeed.
Right. Do you understand the euro?
No, I'm an economist. No, you want religious questions, Brian. You've got to go and get somebody appropriately qualified. I'm an economist.
Can you explain to us then the Greek economy?
Oh, look, Brian, better value elsewhere, I think. I mean, I wouldn't...
Better value elsewhere, what do you mean?
No, I wouldn't touch it with a pole, Brian. Don't put your money in there.
No, I don't want to invest in it. I'm just asking you to describe
you're seeking information about the nature
about it.
I see.
Because there's a great amount of nervousness, isn't there?
Oh, there certainly is,
Greek
Brian. And they have,
economy.
let's face it, very serious structural problems with the Greek economy.
They're broke.
They would be if things improved out of sight, Brian. I think the problem's actually worse than that at the moment.
And they've received a bailout from the other European economies.
Yes, mainly France and Germany.
Yes, why France and Germany exactly?
Well, they work. They're successful economies, Brian.
Because the first bailout didn't touch the sides, did it really?
Well, they do have some serious structural problems, and that needs to be addressed.
And what are they?
Well, they can't pay their debts, Brian. I mean, Greece owes 160% of what it produces. I mean, the task is a Sisyphean task. It's rolling a rock up a mountain.
So Greek is insolvent.
Brian, put it this way. If it were a private company, there'd be a fire there on Saturday at about 4 o'clock in the morning.
Right. So how big was the bailout?
First bailout was $100 billion.
Second bailout?
$100 billion again, Brian.
And how long will that last them?
I think there's some confidence that'll get them to Tuesday, Wednesday.
So what is the alternative to bailing them out?
Well, not bailing them out would probably force them out the bottom of the EU. And, of course, the strength of the EU is precisely the unity provided, the capacity those countries have to help one another.
But don't they weaken themselves by doing that?
They do. That's a very good point. And the novelty of giving Greece $100 billion every fortnight is going to wear off at some point.
The Greeks don't want austerity measures, obviously.
They don't, no. And, of course, they would need to be complicit in a solution. They'd need to make it work.
But why would anyone want to invest in an economy that can't pay its debts?
Good question, but people have been doing it for 20 years. That's why the problem exists, Brian.
And whatever else they sort out, that might have to apply to some of the other European economies.
That's right. Sorry, Brian. Just getting a text. Sorry.
What's that?
Would we like to buy Portugal?
Buy Portugal.
Anybody want to buy Portugal? Yeah, Portugal's for sale.
How much?
Oh, they won't need money. We just need to guarantee the debt. Oh, hello. They're having a special, red spot special. If we do it today, we can have Ireland as well.
Oh, really? How much for both?
How much have you got? Has anyone got a hat? We might have a crack at this. Ireland's nice.
It is good, isn't it?
Yeah, summer.
And there you go. I probably should have set the setting a little bit. You know, there's a couple of guys, suit and ties, funny stuff. But you know, here's the thing: the situation in Greece, more Americans should be tuning into, because it is coming to a country near you, and yes, that includes you, America. Greece is broke. You know, as of right now, Greek banks are closed at least for the next few days this week. I think I saw until Thursday they're closed. The last few days, Greek citizens were limited over the weekend to like $60 for withdrawals. And as you heard in that video, the kicker is the decision over whether or not to bail them out for the third time by the rest of the EU. There's, of course, you know, so much to it. But again, I just wanted to spend a few minutes here, because if you think it's just contained to Greece, you're fooling yourselves. I mean, you know, he jokingly referenced Portugal there, but yes, you could throw in the rest of the pigs nations, you know, Portugal, Italy, Spain, all lined up for the same fate. But almost every country over in the EU, outside of France and Germany maybe, is completely broke. And, you know, the other thing, why essentially this is happening to Greece right now, well, because unlike us, they cannot simply print their way out of it. Right? We're broke too, but we have the power of the printing press. And, the extra special aspect of being the world reserve currency. So hence why we'll be one of the last dominoes to fall. But it is all an illusion. It's all a game, and games, regardless of how long they are played, all eventually must come to an end. Adamizer, any thoughts?
Yeah, I would say that, you know, and again, I'm kind of half doing this and half fucking dealing with these idiots. But no, it's just...
Over here, buddy, over here.
Yeah, I know. It's just fucking, you know, on both sides, it's just fucking sad. The, you know, the mentality that we have to deal with in this country. I mean, what was it Orwell said, and I can almost pop up the quote, but in a world of, where deceit has become, deceit, and I'm butchering this, but in a world where deceit has become rampant, speaking the truth is a revolutionary act.
Yes.
You know, I feel like I'm on the fringe of society just for seeking out and spreading truth. You know, and in fact, I'm dealing with a guy online right now who's trying to tell me that that truth is subjective. He said, whose truth? Your truth? My truth? There is no your truth or my truth. And if you want to play that game, it's because you're trying to obscure the actual fucking truth. You know, there is only truth, and those who disagree with the truth trying to claim that there's different versions of the truth or different perspectives or your truth or my truth. And that's just not the fucking case. The truth is the truth. It doesn't matter what you believe. The truth doesn't care what you think, what fucking Bible you subscribe to or whatever else. It just is. And if more people could learn to accept that instead of going after what makes them feel all warm and fuzzy inside, I think we'd all be better off.
Yeah, that and certainly knowing that sometimes we don't know the truth, right, or what it is, and being able to accept that for an answer as opposed to plugging some bullshit in. Obviously, what leaps to mind there is, certainly we get into a lot of religious talks, and, we might not have every answer as to the origins and beginnings of life in the universe, but admitting that as opposed to plugging in God, at least in my opinion, is a much better way to go. Because it keeps you searching for the answers.
I mean, again, it's between all of the fucking untruths that we've been force-fed, especially in America since birth, whether it's religion, whether it's, capitalism, take your pick. Really doesn't fucking matter. We've been brought up in a society where lies are the norm. Lies are everywhere. Plenty of people are getting rich and fat on these lies, and on the backs of the rest of us who are actually working for a living, and they want it that way, and because wealth equates to power, they've been able to use that power to keep it that way. We need to stop participating in this. We need to break our programming and go out and look for the actual truth behind the lies. Don't assume that anything you've been told is true, ever, period. Whether you're hearing it here, whether you're hearing it from the Bible, whether you're hearing it, from Fox News or what have you, go out and check your damn facts. That's the problem. People have been so overworked by the non-working owner class that they don't even have time to check a fucking fact anymore. And the owner class knows that, so they're going to use that to push their agenda and just say whatever they think is going to make people happy, or feed into their hatreds or their bigotry or their racism or whatever the fuck else, to get them to agree to vote away their own rights, to vote away the rights of other people, whether it's gays getting married or whatever else, just to serve their own fucking agenda. And this is a sad, sad stage in what will one day be human history, if we make it that long. But I honestly believe that one day, if humans make it out of this, we will be looking back at how stupid we were for believing things like scripture and capitalism, et cetera. It will be a more shameful time in history than slavery is to us now.
I completely agree, and I've said it, I think, a few times here on this podcast, that I think there's a case to be made when we are viewed in through the glasses of history, despite all the technological advances that we think we're making and scientific advances that we think we're making. I can see this very much as a Dark Ages almost, and I haven't seen any real advancement in the human species in the context of history now for going on hundreds of years. I mean, when you still talk about the endless wars and the battles over resources that do not need to be, and more than half the planet literally starving to death each day without access to water. All these, just tremendous societal issues that we're living with and accepting. It's absolutely amazing. And I think when we do finally get on to the gay marriage and the Supreme Court decision, there's a couple of different directions that I want to take that, and I think we can kind of pick this up there with that conversation. Because there's certainly a aspect of it, especially what a lot of the religious types are saying about it, that is truly amazing and mind-numbing and head-spinning. So, but any specific thoughts, Adamizer, to the Greek situation, where you might think it's going? To you, do you see it as something that is going to be visiting America?
I think, somebody asked me about this earlier today, and I think that, there will be an impact. We're certainly seeing that already. I think the stock market dropped like 300 points or something today. But as is usually the case, they will find a Band-Aid for the bullet wound. They will kick the can down the road and keep doing that until they come to the cliff. I think that we will experience some economic hiccups as a result of what's going on in Greece. But I don't think any real lessons are going to be learned from it. I don't think that I think that the rich folks out there are going to do everything they can to deflect the pain of that away from themselves and down onto the workers. So again, we'll have some, we'll have things just a hair bit tougher and maybe a lot tougher in some areas and less tough in other areas. But it will, it will be a passing thing as they kick the can down the road to the next financial crisis.
Interesting. Yeah. I'm still not sure. I mean, I think there are snowball and or avalanche effects that could, come out of this entire situation. I mean, certainly if you started to, if Greece were to exit the EU, that whole thing could start to unravel. And when you start to see an economically unraveling situation like that, who the hell knows where it can lead, right? And then just pair that with the shit that's going on in Ukraine and Russia and the, dare I say, nuclear pissing match between the USA and Russia, and certainly some of the shit with NATO that's going on there. You start seeing, like I said, Portugal, Italy, Spain, they start going through the same thing. Who knows exactly, and the ripple effect that it has, because as we know, all these central banks are tied together. So who knows how it disrupts, daily operating, bullshit. So it's certainly something that we should be paying more attention to than, the Confederate flag. And I think it's going to be something to keep an eye on, certainly over the summer here.
Right. Yeah, I think, again, there are much more interesting topics going on. Love Won this week is, Love Wins, of course, is the big hashtag going on. No more discriminating against people based on how or who they love. Yet to hear the woman who's been screaming at me on Twitter, you'd think that the gates to hell just opened up. It's crazy, man. I'm sorry. It's fucking crazy, this idea that...
It really is, and I got a lot of good stuff lined up for that, kind of portion of our show. Tell you what, I did want to just mention this. It's kind of funny. I've been hearing the phrase pretend and extend, kind of what you were talking about in that kick the can scenario, and been hearing the pretend and extend as it pertains to Greece, and I kind of thought that was funny, and it's exactly what it is, and it sums it up, kind of perfectly. So why don't we do this, Adamizer? Why don't we take our first break, and then when we come back, why don't we, spend the bulk of the rest of the show talking about this epic decision that happened on Friday. And all the different kind of angles and aspects, and I would love to hear some of the tweets you've been getting. Maybe you could jot down a few of your favorite ones. I have some quotes from certainly other silly people that I wanted to get to. So how's that all sound to you?
Works for me, brother.
All right, so coming up right now, I have a little Louis C.K. for you, and I don't know if this is the actual name of the bit, but I titled it God is an Asshole. So we'll do a little Louis C.K., and then we will be right back with more Front Row at the Freak Show, and hopefully some of your calls at 646-668-8756, 646-668-8756. You are in the Front Row with Crafty and Adamizer. Here is Louis C.K. You're listening to Front Row at the Freak Show on blogtalkradio.com.
If there is a God, then that dude is an asshole, which I know is not a popular belief, but I do think he's an asshole. Because every story, Abraham, he went to Abraham in the middle of the night. There's only like 8 guys then, and God would just, once in a while, he'd just bother one of them. So, God went to Abraham's house. He's like, Abraham, wake up, man. And Abraham's like, dude, what is up? What is up? And God goes, kill your son. Dude, kill your son. And Abraham's like, you mean Isaac? I don't know his name. Just kill him. Kill him. I'm God. Kill him. And Abraham goes, why? Because you don't love me if you don't do it. You don't love me. Do it! So Abraham's like, dude, you are insecure. I don't understand you. But okay, fine. Goes, wakes up Isaac, takes him to a mountain somewhere. I don't know why he had to be all drama queen about it and take him to a mountain. Could have just killed him in the sleep and go back to sleep. But he took him woke the poor kid up, dressed him, took him to a mountain. Kid's like, Daddy, what are we doing? Oh, just gonna murder you. Goes like this. God shows up right before he does it. He goes, hey, what are you doing? This is in the Bible, I swear to God. Isaac and Abraham goes, I'm killing Isaac. And God's like, why would you? That's your kid. What is wrong with you? And he's like, and he just went home feeling like a piece of shit. That God is like a shitty girlfriend. You want to do it because you don't love me. Okay, I'll do it. Why are you doing it? What the do you want from me? But that's a sin, to say the Lord's name in vain. But you don't even have to say something that terrible. You can go to hell just for saying Jesus Christ with a tone in your voice. It's all the tone in your voice. That's the weird part. It's a very subtle sin, because you can say, Jesus Christ, you're fine. But if you say, Jesus Christ, you go to hell forever. Just for saying it like that. There must be at least one dude who was right on the line. Who was like, Jesus Christ. And then he's in hell. He's like, seriously? For that? That's it? Seriously? It was a huge pumpkin. What was I going to not say anything? It's one of the top 10 commandments. It's in the 10 commandments to not take the Lord's name in vain. Rape isn't up there, by the way. Rape is not a 10 commandment. But don't say the dude's name with a shitty attitude. I think it's so unfair, though, to send people to hell for saying Jesus Christ, because it's just too satisfying. I don't know why that is, but it just feels good. Oh, Jesus Christ! It just feels good. It cleans you out. I don't know why. What did folks say before that dude? How did anybody express themselves in a big moment before Jesus? Even the people that knew him. How did the people watching him be crucified, what could they even say watching that happen? They're like, that is bananas.
Conspiracy?
Yeah, I mean, the fact is you've got these psychopaths, whether they're running the top businesses or whether they're running the country or both, that, they want more and more and more. That's all they can think about, and they'll step on anybody and send your kids off to die to get it. And that's the world we live in.
My mother was actually a black Irish Italian Muslim, lesbian hooker with a lisp.
Maybe.
What is so interesting about us in the first place?
This fucking soulless horse.
My question is to the Adamizer.
I'm glad you asked, Adamizer.
Then you really need to re-examine your objectivity on the subject because you don't have any.
Screwed?
My ass is open. Wait, let me rephrase that.
Read that book, cover to cover. Read that fucking book.
I'm not sitting here suggesting we burn them all and completely rid the planet of them.
And if the God described in the Bible is real and is what is described in that Bible, he's not your fucking friend. He's a monster, and we should all get together and hunt him down and kill him.
Definitely.
To me, at the very least, it's the root of all tyranny.
Get your freak on. Front Row at the Freak Show on blogtalkradio.com/Front Row.
All right, and we are back. Oh, I do hope you enjoyed the Louis C.K. bit. I think it was actually God is like a girlfriend or a bad girlfriend or something like that. Classic, up and down. Adamizer, got your ears on with me, good buddy?
Sorry, I'm on mute on. I'm right here.
All right. Did you get to listen to the Louis C.K.?
Yes, I've always loved Louis C.K.
Yeah. Oh, it was great. It was great. I don't know why he had to be all drama queen about it. Could have just rolled over in the tent and killed him and went back to sleep. Oh, fantastic shit there, man. Fantastic shit. And it's funny, because I don't know what year that was, but, for years, literally probably 20 years ago, when I used to think about, getting up on stage, doing comedy or something like that, I always thought, it was such a good thing that Jesus Christ had the name that he had, right? And wasn't named Norman Jablonski or something like that, because it just wouldn't have the same ring, right? And ended up being in a Louis C.K. bit, about Jesus Christ there. It is just perfect, and I say Jesus Christ all the fucking time. But, all right, so we are back, Front Row at the Freak Show. Crafty, Adamizer, got to break out that old promo a little bit, and though not with us tonight, I do actually have to update it to get a little Bax on there. Bax, if you are tuned in and listening, you shall be missed this evening. But we can roll right into the next portion of the show here. Did I give the number, Adamizer? 646-668-8756. We do have a couple of freaks. Unfortunately, trying to get my groove on here back in the Blog Talk Radio studio controls. So I unfortunately can't multitask too much. We do have a few guest freaks hanging out in the chat room. And what I would love to tell all of them is why not give us a call, 646-668-8756. Certainly, I don't know if Adamizer or I are going to be able to really do too much typing, but give us a call. We'd love to hear what's on your mind as we get into the historic Supreme Court decision, I guess, that was made on, was that Friday, I think that came down, Adamizer?
I'm sorry, what was the question? You were just a little...
The Supreme Court decision came down on Friday, right, I believe?
I believe that was the case, but don't hold me to it because my news comes to me a little slowly sometimes. I do.
Yeah, Friday, or maybe, I think, it was Friday. News might have broke Saturday about it. And, but regardless, we got a nice, in my opinion anyway, we have a nice, really two-pronged discussion, or a couple roads we can go down to with regards to the decision made by the Supreme Court of the United States. And one is, the actual decision itself and, the constitutional question of it and the many ramifications of, whenever the Supreme Court kind of steps in and gets involved. And that can bring us down a path of, other decisions certainly that they've made and, kind of how the Supreme Court fits into all of this here in the American Freak Show. And the second path, which I think I'd like to tackle first, is that Christians
isn't it the first
are
path?
losing their shit. And I fucking love it. I'm going to point out that, I don't know if you've noticed, Adamizer, but I've been doing on the website, on the blog, frontrow@thefreakshow.com, I've been doing something called the Daily Freak, right? And I've been kind of picking out 4 or 5 headlines and throwing a video out every day. Just real quick, just 5 headlines that look interesting and then a video or 2, right?
Yeah.
And I think it was on Friday and I'm just doing, Monday through Friday. But when I saw the decision, I was, took like the first insane remarks I could find and said, oh yeah, this is going to be fun. And then for today's, I had 2 more in there and, kind of reiterated the fact of, oh yeah, this is going to be a lot of fun to watch and listen to. Because, wow, man, just like as you started getting into and are currently involved, you said you got some tweet battles going on there, man. Holy shit. It is fun. It is funny. It's sad in a lot of ways. But, wow. I'll let you kind of start off, but, maybe if you want to fill us in on some of your tweet battles you got going on, maybe some of the things that your followers are saying.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, I think what we're seeing is that we're really shining a spotlight on the bigotry and self-righteousness, undeserved self-righteousness of Christians. It is absolutely amazing to me how many times in any given day on Twitter I have to say to people, I'm sorry, but you Christians didn't invent marriage, you don't own it, and you don't get to tell non-Christians how to do it. I had this one lady tonight who was just going off talking about how this has nothing to do with equal rights and everything to do with trying to roll back the First Amendment and criminalize Christianity. Okay? And her logic, and I use that term very loosely here, obviously, is that because we are not respecting their right to discriminate against people for being gay, that first of all, we're discriminating against them, right? People never see, people on the side of discrimination and whatnot never seem to, or intolerance, never seem to realize that the only thing you can discriminate against is discrimination, and the only thing you can be intolerant against is intolerance, right?
Yeah.
So I've been dealing with a lot of that, and it's just been blowing my mind how insane some of these responses have been. I mean, and let me just say, I know a lot of good, I say good Christians. Good's a terrible word, but I know a lot of good people who are Christian and who don't think that whether 2 gays get married is any of their business or any harm to them. Meanwhile, you got other people picking and choosing which parts of the Old Testament they're going to, is going to be the hill that they're going to die on. So you need the right to discriminate against gays getting married, but yet I don't see you demanding the right to stone atheists to death or anybody who doesn't believe in you, or their whole town if you want to go to the exact letter of, was it Leviticus or Deuteronomy? I don't remember. It's just crazy to me that people have, people feel like they have been injured or somehow harmed by this decision, which is simply about equal rights, which is simply about, everybody has the right to marry, every consenting adult has the right to marry another consenting adult. Somebody actually threw me this one this week. Well, what about a brother and sister? I'm like, honestly, I don't care. It doesn't harm me in any way. It really doesn't. If they're two consenting adults, I don't care. I think it's absolute insanity to sit there and dictate how other people should live their lives and how they should love.
Yeah, it is, and it is so funny, right? Because certainly since, like, say, you and I have been doing the show, we talked about religion, not exclusively by any means, but it's come up, and many different people have said to me, emailed me, whatever, texted me. Like, really on the religious thing, huh, Crafty, and I think this, and you put it a nice way, it kind of shines a light on why we're doing that, right? Yeah. Because the things that are coming out now, right, are perfect examples of what we've been talking about, and with this one decision, it's kind of forcing people into making a decision and picking a side and, defending their religion or certainly promoting it, what have you. And so I think you start to get a good sense of the extent of the insanity that exists within this country, because as I've been saying for a while now on the show, and that I keep just finding more and more and more at just how many people adhere to this shit and and spout this shit and live this shit. It is freaking mind-blowing when you start thinking about the number of people that are believing in this book, are believing in, everything that you just said. I mean, it is really, and I don't know if there's a more urgent, important issue to tackle than trying to change some of those minds.
I wouldn't even say trying to change some of those minds. I would say trying to free some of those minds. That's the problem. They've literally been chained down with this false view of reality since birth in a lot of cases. Yeah. I certainly would describe my transition as my mind becoming free.
Yeah. I want to take that back because it's I don't so much want to change the minds of the people that are entrenched, and and again I have some quotes here that are just fucking lunacy. But, and like those people, I'm not looking to change their minds. What I'm looking to do with those people that are on the fence, those people that still hold on to it, for family purposes, but don't really practice it. But if push comes to shove, they might, speak up in favor of it, about this or what have you. But those are the minds that I want to start reaching out to and seeing if we can really start swinging, so that in 5, 10, 20 years, we can start seeing more people check off that, no religion box in the Senate or, in the House or what have you. And see more representation out there of people with no religious affiliation in positions of authority. But, until that time, certainly I have to have my fun. And when a day like this comes around, right, I got to enjoy this a little bit, Adamizer.
Oh, absolutely. One of the things too that's really sticking in my craw, right, is that if you want to, if you're somebody who wants to put a nationwide ban on gays getting married, right? How are you any different than, how are you not trying to impose the Christian version of Sharia law? that the Bible should dictate what the laws in this country are. I mean, for all the Christians that are so anti-Muslim and against the idea of Muslim states where, the Quran dictates the way the laws are going to be, how are you not doing that exact same thing here? It seems to me unbelievably hypocritical.
Oh, it so is, and I guess, and this is kind of a question I had for later because I'm still a little confused on something. I'm going to try to hold this off. Yeah, I'm not even going to bring this up yet, but let me give you this. I don't even know who this guy was or is. I think he's some kind of leader in the religion. Brian Fisher, you ever hear of him?
I knew a Brian Fisher. It's probably not the same Brian Fisher.
Probably not, but
not an uncommon name.
So, no, it isn't. But the YouTube channel Secular Talk had brought this up, and this guy must have a shitload of followers or something like that. But basically, so what this guy did, he put out a series of tweets on Friday, Saturday, saying that 6/26 was the Christian 9/11. And one of his tweets was, "The day the Twin Towers of truth and righteousness were blown up by moral jihadists." That was said.
Say that one more time. Let me wrap my head around that.
What's that?
Say that one more time. Let me wrap my head around that.
Yeah. Oh, it's a good one. I will. The day the Twin Towers of truth and righteousness were blown up by moral jihadists. That was Friday. It was the Christian 9/11. It was Friday.
Yeah, of course, no mention of the 9/11 against everybody else when they were out burning witches, running crusades, doing the Inquisition, and all of the other things that Christians used to do back before they had to become a little more civilized. Yeah.
The day, so let's get this straight.
Go ahead.
Let's clarify this for everyone. The day where 3,000 people were murdered, and I think for anyone who's listening, pretty much where Crafty and Adamizer stand as to who they were murdered by. Regardless, the day 3,000 people lost their lives brutally, horrifically, thousands more affected and impacted, trillions of dollars in damage, and the beginning of a complete new, way of life in this country, right, is the same as two people in love being able to get married and get on the same insurance and have the same rights as everyone else. Are you fucking kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me?
Oh yeah, no, it really is this insanity. I mean, honestly, I saw a thing about somebody who said that they would set themselves on fire, some Southern pastor or whatever, if gay marriage was legalized. I am so waiting to see that on YouTube.
Please. I would like to see Glenn Beck lead his little black-robed army of, please, get 100,000, Glenn. Please. Right? And pour gas over all of you. Right? And a big, Jim Jones style protest. Do it. Do it. Do it. Please do it. I will chip in for the gas and the lighters. I will. I will chip
I got the lighter.
I will actually. Yeah, I got a lighter. I think you actually brought up stonings and whatnot with something. One pastor, and it's really a shame about this guy. because this guy, I've seen him before, and I'm pretty sure it's him. I didn't make the link, but this guy, right, this pastor, he made a lot of great videos about him. He lives in, like, Arizona, and he does a lot of traveling in and out of Mexico, over to California, that sort of thing. And but he did a lot of videos of, like, crossing the border, especially just between Arizona and California, and how he was getting hassled all the time. Yeah. So, like, he started making all these videos about, refusing to give his identification, right? They'd ask him, who he is, and he'd hand him the Bible. He's like, "This is who I am. Would you like me to tell you?" Like, really pissing him off and everything. And I was like, "Oh, okay, all right, cool." But so I had I did like him and respect him for that. But this same guy is calling for stonings and warns of God's wrathful judgment after the marriage equality ruling. He's calling for stonings.
Right. Yeah, no, and again, it's you look around, you look at the. Here's the thing: I would more respect Christians who really did try to stone atheists than these fucking people who pick and choose the verses that they want to follow and the verses they don't want to follow. I mean,
you're right.
It's if you're going to be an ignorant bigot driven by fucking ancient mythology, at least be consistent about it.
Right.
Don't pick and choose and say, okay, well, it says a man shouldn't lie with another man, so I'm not going to serve a cake to a gay wedding, or I'm going to fucking not let, try to vote against gays getting married or whatever else. When at the same time, again, you're doing nothing about the fact that it says basically anybody who doesn't believe the Christian religion should be stoned to death. Fucking, again, if you're going to be ignorant, at least be consistent. Don't pick and choose what works best for you, because then you're just being fucking ridiculous. You're just hating on whoever it's easiest to hate on.
Oh, and Adam, we can extend the stonings, right? Because I believe even for your, Christian child who may very well believe, but is being a little bit unruly, well, that child deserves to go to the center of town and be stoned by all the elders.
Yeah, exactly. It's and that's in the New Testament. I just want to point that out. People tend to pick and choose when it comes to the Old Testament. They also do in the New Testament, because Jesus told you people on 2 separate occasions to kill any kid who curses their parents. It's in the fucking Bible. Read it. Read the damn thing before you start spouting off about it's an excuse to discriminate or whatever else you're going to use it as an excuse for. And, if you really want to look at the morality of a lot of these people, maybe try the Duggar family. That's what being brought up in as strict a Christian household as possible in this day and age is going to get you.
What family?
The Duggars. Are you not familiar with the Duggars? Or Duggars, is it?
Duggars.
I thought it was Duggars. I hate when people don't pronounce things right.
No, what are the Duggars? I think I do, but refresh my memory.
Okay, so it was this show on, I think it was TLC, because they get all the fucking exploitation TV, reality TV nowadays. And it was, originally it was like 17 and counting, and then 18 and counting, and 19 and counting. It's this family where this woman basically has never even had her period because she's been pregnant her whole fucking adult life, having kid after kid after kid, and raising them in the strictest possible Christian environment, to the point where they can't even go on dates without chaperones until they're married, and so on and so forth. Then turns out one of the older sons, if not the oldest son, whatever it was, has been molesting both the children that have stayed at his house and his sisters. So TLC pulled the show. Then every fucking right-wing Christian nutbag, including many who are running for president, stood up to defend the Duggars and have come up with every fucking excuse in the book for why it really wasn't that bad that this guy molested his sisters and shit. Yeah, it's a fucking horror show. You should, yeah.
Right.
Take a look at that.
Was that like? Yeah, I remember that now. Yeah. Oh, it's fucking insane. Wow.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, Adamizer. This shit is great. I mean, because we're just seeing the tip of it now, right? I mean, that was the point that I had before I get on to a few more quotes from these fucking nut jobs, was that, kind of to your point about the, if you're going to do it, right? And you can respect that. Like the Amish, right? At least the Amish are being true to their shit, right? And saying, no, this is what the fuck we do, right? This is how we live, and they live it. Now look, I can still think they're fucking, wacky, but I mean, I personally, I like a lot of the fucking way that they live and haven't, gone into the fucking craziness of consumption and excess like we have, right? There's a lot to respect there. But, again, kind of to your point, where if you're going to do it, right? And also to comment on, what you were talking about with the New Testament, yeah, and Jesus also said, and correct me if I'm wrong, Pastor, that I think it was a couple of times that he, validated everything in the Old Testament himself, right? Like, that's the law, and I'm not here to change that. I'm here to fulfill it, right? So, something along those lines. So, where he came along and preached a little different message, and you certainly don't have the absolute psychopathic God that we had in the Old Testament. Jesus came along and, certainly didn't negate any of that.
No, I have not come to overturn the law. I've come to fulfill the law.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny how many Christians will argue that the New Testament somehow makes the Old Testament irrelevant or not, it's fucking insane to me how many times I sit there and I say to somebody, but the Bible says this, and they say, oh, that's the Old Testament. The New Testament, that's the way things were, but the New Testament is about the way things are now. And you're just sitting there and saying that's not, Jesus told you different than that. I mean, it really, makes no sense to me that they can, that they just do these mental gymnastics to defend something that's so obviously fictional.
And then they're the ones who are up in arms when we try to get the Ten Commandments out of the fucking courthouses. That's Old Testament. That's pure Old Testament.
Exactly. That's the thing. Yeah. And I always point that out to them. I'm like, well, you're saying the Old Testament is irrelevant. What about the Ten Commandments? And they'll say, oh, well, that's just common sense. I'm like, I don't think the first four of those that say worship this God and only this God are common sense. Nor do I think that any list of supreme rules that doesn't include prohibitions on rape and slavery is common sense.
Correct. So, one of the last ones that I liked here was, actually I had a couple more, this one was nice. Christian leaders are responding with love, concern, and warnings of civil disobedience in the aftermath.
Oh, I saw that one, the civil disobedience thing, and it's so funny that the right-wingers want to start talking about the need for civil disobedience a week or two after they were exclaiming that when blacks do it in the Black Lives Matter protest, that it's thugs ruining their communities. That's their take on civil disobedience in that context.
Right. And what gets me, obviously, of course, is all the shit we've been talking about here on the show. Never-ending war, no problem. The Federal Reserve, all the ludicrousness of everything we've talked about there, especially, especially with them dropping the economy and the country into the fucking toilet and then flushing, no problem. Millions of homeless kids on our streets every fucking night, fine. Cops killing us to the tune of $1,200 a year, go for it. Inequality like we have never seen before in the history of the planet. Two people in love and want to get married and have the same legal rights as others? Holy fucking shit, are you kidding me? Civil unrest, battle stations, shit is going down.
Oh yeah, it's again, it's. And I've even seen ones claim that there's going to be a new civil war over this, and yeah, it's just fucking insane that people are so hell bent on discriminating against two people in love having equal rights as everybody else. It's fucking nuts.
It really is. And, last thing I wanted to point out, good story on rawstory.com. And it said, captive virgins, polygamy, and sex slaves. What marriage would look like if we actually followed the Bible. And it's so true, man, polygamous. Oh, it's, rampant through the book, right? And certainly, take the virgins after you decimate and obliterate the neighboring town and kill all the men, kill all the children, kill all the older women. Just keep the virgins for yourselves. That's your reward.
Right. Right.
Wow.
Yeah, it's again. I mean, you have to stand back in awe of people who are just so hell bent on protecting their rights to discriminate against law-abiding citizens who happen to love a different way. I mean,
yeah, it truly is remarkable, and I do want to kind of save some time to get into the kind of the other path and the other prong of this discussion, being the Supreme Court, the actual discussion. So what do you say, Adamizer? I'm thinking another break, and when we come back, finishing that up, I would love to see if we can pull in a phone call or two at 646-668-8756. Front row at the Freak Show, back here on Blog Talk Radio. And Adamizer, so far so good as far as audio and all that other stuff, huh?
Yeah.
So,
yeah, absolutely.
All right, let's take a second break. I got to get... first of all, that's what I wanted to say. Yesterday was the birthday of Johnny Freedom, who, as you might know, has been helping me out introing the music here. Unfortunately, again, not this week. I think Johnny went MIA a little this past weekend, probably for his birthday. So, but anyway, it was his birthday, so happy birthday to Johnny Freedom, and a shout out to him. So for tonight, you stuck with me introing the song, and went a little outside of my usual norm, and turning to I'd like to call her up and coming, but she's been around 10 years herself anyway. Got a few albums out. Anyway, a rock and roll goddess named Carolyn Wonderland. Did you ever hear of Carolyn Wonderland, Adamizer?
Doesn't ring a bell, but my memory's been slipping as I get older.
Yeah, no problem. Well, she is a young lady out of hailing from Texas, and let me tell you, this girl, I've seen her live now a couple of times. She is absolutely the real fucking deal. She, as I've said it over the years a few times, she truly is. I mean, she plays guitar like Stevie Ray Vaughan and sings like Janis Joplin. And I don't think I'm going overboard with either label. And so that's some pretty high shit right there. So anyway, I actually came across this. I said, I want to play a little Carolyn Wonderland tonight for no other reason than to try and spread her good shit all around. And I came across this. It was a live version of her singing one of my favorite band songs called Don't Do It, which brings me full circle and back around to my good friend Johnny Freedom, who had his birthday yesterday. So we will play Carolyn Wonderland live, Don't Do It, and we will come back in, about 5 minutes with more Crafty and Adamizer from Front Row at the Freak Show. Now, here's Carolyn Wonderland, Don't Do It.
You freaks stay tuned now, you hear? There'll be more Front Row at the Freak Show coming up right after this on blogtalkradio.com.
Now here's something we hope you'll really like.
I'll give you the correct demonstration. Cutie pie, pound those horse teeth.
Yes, indeed. Just to paint the picture for all you freaks out there, I was actually fucking dancing during that. Oh, yeah. Damn straight. Carolyn Wonderland with the band's classic Don't Do It. All right. We are back here live. Front row at the Freak Show, Crafty and the Adamizer. Unfortunately, no Bax with us here tonight. We will muddle through, as I guess they say. Please, we got about a half an hour left, 33 minutes on the old time clock here. Please let us know what your thinking and thoughts are. We've touched on a lot of stuff so far. We've hit Greece and that mess. And spent a lot of the last segment after the break talking about silly Christians, and especially on the heels of the historic Supreme Court of the United States decision coming at the end of last week, upholding the constitutional rights for gay people to marry, and that was a lot of fun. But please, give us a call, 646-668-8756. Love to hear from you. Need to hear from you. And I want all you freaks that are listening to know that, as you know, last 2 or 3 weeks, tried to go to a different platform and format using Ustream and all that other shit. And what it came down to was that ultimately, even if I could have got the audio decent between myself, Adamizer, and Bax, I guess it was decent, not really where I wanted it to be, but even if I could have gotten that, you, the callers, would have by and large probably sounded like shit. So I said, and I believe Adamizer and Bax were behind me in this decision, that, what we want to be, and we've said it almost every show, is a caller-based show. That's why we're here. We want to hear from you. No, we need to hear from you. Perhaps you are someone that benefited from this recently, this recent decision by the Supreme Court. Maybe you were in one of the 14 states that will now see, or you will now have the ability to marry your partner. Perhaps you're a silly Christian who believes that those people should be stoned and not in the good way. Perhaps you're some freak with a completely different take on something completely different. Either way, I know Adamizer and I would love to hear from you. So please, get off your ass, pick up your phone, and call in. 646-668-8756. Real fucking easy. And now that we're back on Blog Talk Radio, you call in and you get to listen to the show, while you're on hold. We'll go to you real quick. Any time that you are holding, get to listen to us just like you're listening to us on your computer. So you really got nothing to fucking lose. So, what do you say, freaks? Have at it. Call in. That's as much as I'm going to beg, at least for now. All right. Yes, indeed, Adamizer. Okay. Were you able to listen to any of the Carolyn Wonderland, or did you go out and do other shit during that? I was just wondering if you enjoyed it as much as I did.
I didn't go out, but I was doing 2 different Twitter battles and listening to my wife tell me something, so I can't say I was paying close attention.
Mm-hmm. Great. Whatever, dude. Whatever. Played some rock and roll for you tonight, you know. I took a break from the country, played some rock and roll for you, and that's the appreciation I get. All right, Adamizer. Any good updates on the Twitter front? Anything?
Yeah, the crazy lady's back. The crazy lady's back.
Oh, what have you texted her to call in?
Let me do that right now.
Text her the number and tell her the host agrees with her. And
I'm not gonna lie. That would make me no better than.
I don't know if you know this, Adamizer, but while Carolyn Wonderland was playing, I converted, and you know, I believe in the Bible now.
Oh, okay, all right. Well, then I'll go with that.
Fucking A. So, all right, while you're doing that, let me kind of intro path 2 here in regards to this decision. As I said, I think that outside of the absolute torment and persecution that it's bringing to the Christians of this country, there are some other, things to talk about here with the decision. So, the Supreme Court of the United States ruled 5-4 should now be deemed a right in all 50 states. Okay, so that it was essentially what they decided was that it was unconstitutional for the 14 states that didn't have gay marriage laws on the books, that they were in fact unconstitutional. I believe I have that interpretation correct in regards to their decision. Now, what I thought was kind of interesting, and something I'd kind of like to focus a little bit here on first, is what a few of the actual justices kind of said with making this decision. And the first was Justice Anthony Kennedy, and he was quoted as saying, "No union is more profound than marriage." And he was one of the 5 that voted in favor here. And then he went on to say, "From their beginning to their most recent page, the annals of human history reveal the transcendent importance of marriage. The lifelong union of a man and a woman always has promised nobility and dignity to all persons, without regard to their station in life. Marriage is sacred to those who live by their religions and offers unique fulfillment to those who find meaning in the secular realm. Its dynamic allows 2 people to find a life that could not be found alone. For a marriage becomes greater than just 2 persons. Rising from the most basic human needs, marriage is essential to our most profound hopes and aspirations." So that was Justice Kennedy talking about his vote in favor, or I guess he was one of the 5. So he was against there being a ban in the states that was going on. And, of course, there was opposition, and I will like to read this quote, I guess, right now as well, and it came from, might have guessed it, Justice Scalia. And In his opposition, he stated, quote, to call attention to this court's threat to American democracy. Today's decree says that my ruler, that's a capital R, and the ruler, capital R again, of 320 million Americans coast to coast is a majority of the 9 lawyers on the Supreme Court. The opinion in these cases is the furthest extension, in fact, and the furthest extension one can even imagine of the court's claimed power to create, quote-unquote, liberties that the Constitution and its amendments neglect to mention. This practice of constitutional revision by an unelected committee of 9, always unaccompanied, as it is today, by extravagant praise of liberty, robs the people of the most important liberty they asserted in the Declaration of Independence and won in the Revolution of 1776, the freedom to govern themselves. And that was Justice Scalia. And then the other dissenting, real quick quote that I wrote down was Justice Thomas, who wrote, aside from undermining the political processes that protect our liberty, the majority's decision threatens the religious liberty our nation has long sought to protect. So, there you have a couple of the thoughts going into the respective decisions made by the Supreme Court, which I think are very interesting and telling, to say the least. And, really when you get into it, for tonight's show, ultimately I don't know how much we're going to really get to sink our teeth into this topic, but, it very much is a very interesting, for me anyway, topic when you go back and, look at some of the Supreme Court decisions over the years and the history of this country, and certainly how the Constitution has been, quote unquote, interpreted, and all that sort of thing. Really very interesting stuff right there. But I guess anyway, at least as far as what I said so far, Adamizer, any thoughts?
Sorry, distracted.
You are so not sorry.
I am and I'm not. No, I'm again dealing with just some craziness here. Give me the 2-second version. What am I agreeing with?
Nothing. I had just given the comments from one of the 5 that voted in favor of gay marriage, and then Justice Scalia's thoughts. Justice Scalia and Thomas's, one quote from each of them. Basically they came from the angle that democracy suffered a major blow with this decision, and the decision of the other 5 that they are paying absolutely no mind to the Constitution, and that essentially liberty and justice was pretty much squashed by these 5 in their decision on Friday.
See, that's the, whose liberty and justice is being squashed? I don't understand statements like that. Who is being injured by any of this?
This is by a Supreme Court justice.
This is by a fucking bigot who should never have gotten a robe in any fucking court. But
no, it's a great question, because as I'm reading it, right, and I'm sitting here saying, and just to kind of, let me see. It says, he basically says that, this decision is highlighting that us 9 people are, decreeing something us 9 unelected people are decreeing something that was never in the Constitution, right? And it's like, well, isn't that the purpose of the Supreme Court of the United States, right? Like, I mean, you know, we needed them to abolish slavery in this country, right? So was that, you know, wrong when the Supreme Court of the United States, you know, made decisions with that regard? You know, and all the decisions leading up to the 14th Amendment. You know, it's really baffling for him to come out and make a statement like that, you know?
Right. Yeah, no, it's just people justifying their own fucking bigotries any which way they can. And if you're a good wordsmith, you can justify just about anything, no matter how sick and twisted and fucking evil it might be. I mean, you know, truth doesn't matter. So many people, truth doesn't fucking matter to them. All that matters is their perspective, their religion, their fucking hatreds and bigotries and everything else. And if that can't be the law of the land, then they're going to cry like a little bitch, like Scalia. You know, it's right. Seriously, somebody needs to smack that guy in the fucking mouth.
Yeah, and you know, here's what's interesting, right? Because he points to the Constitution and how gay marriage, right, was not a part of the original Constitution or the Declaration of Independence. But neither was marriage, right? It's not like marriage is a right, you know, an unalienable right. It was never listed as one of those things, you know? So I just don't fucking get it on any level. It's not like marriage was defined in the Constitution, and that defined marriage then, you know, was a unalienable right according to the founders. No, you know, here's something that certain people are being given a privilege of doing, and a certain percentage is not. And case fucking closed, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, and I mean, it's insane to me, you know, especially when you realize that long before Americans ever set foot here, natives have been performing same-sex marriages and other types of what Christians would call abominations for tens of thousands of fucking years. Natives used to call what we call gays were called two-spirit people. They were sacred. And, you know, to sit here and again, act like Christians somehow invented marriage and own it and get to tell non-Christians how to do it is absolute insanity. And then to go to the lengths that they go to, threatening to burn themselves or civil war or all this other stuff, as you say, like it's the 9/11 of Christendom, is fucking insane. I mean, you know, this is we are shining a light on the insanity of all this shit. Just in the reactions that we're seeing from everybody, it's, you know, when are these people going to realize that, you know, not everybody has to do things their way? It's really that simple. And that if you want to claim that Christianity is about love and acceptance and stuff, stop being such intolerant fucking bigots in the name of Jesus.
And I agree with you, of course. But again, I kind of wanted to keep this part of it, you know, like to the constitutional and legal aspect of it, you know.
The Constitution was written by people who thought blacks, women, and Indians were 3/5 of a person. I really don't give a fuck whether it's constitutional. I care about the right thing to do. You know what I mean? They can, you know, you can sit there and argue different interpretations of the Constitution, but I seem to remember something about all men being created equal. I don't remember it saying unless you're gay. You know, I just don't remember that part.
Exactly, and that's exactly, you know, again, I'm trying to attack, you know, the silly Christians and all these other people from a different angle, right? And now even people like Scalia and, you know, the other four that disagreed, because, you know, they disagreed with this, and, you know, they came out with some pretty scathing remarks as to why they disagreed with it. And to me, it's like, okay, these four people are sitting on our Supreme Court making other decisions, right? And that to me is, you know, and again, in an unelected lifetime fucking position, that's fucking scary, my friend, you know?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And because with what Scalia's saying, right, is that it's basically, what the decision itself, okay, with the victory is saying that it's basically unconstitutional for states to ban gay marriage, right? And Scalia added, except as limited by a constitutional prohibition agreed to by the people, the states are free to adopt whatever laws they like, even those that offend the esteemed justices. Reasoned judgment, right? A system of government that makes the people subordinate to a committee of 9 unelected lawyers does not deserve to be called a democracy. But that in direct violation to the 14th fucking amendment? I mean, the 14th Amendment says no state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States, and nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor deny to any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the laws. And he's bitching about having to come out and reinforce that?
Yeah.
It just fucking blows my mind, dude.
Yeah, no, it's, again, there is just no way to sugarcoat what a fucking screwed up world we live in, when people are more interested in the ancient fictions and snuff porn, because that's what it fucking is snuff porn, and want to treat that as reality. And yet, when you've got two people standing in front of you who are in love, who don't happen to fit your fucking mold, you know, then you're going to deny them rights. I mean, and the reality here is, gays are easy to pick on, okay? There's not a lot of them. All right. Everybody kind of has, you know, everybody who's not gay kind of thinks that's a little gross. Okay. You know, it's most non-gays don't want to see gay porn or whatever. You know,
well,
it is,
gross.
and so they become an easy fucking scapegoat. Of course, you know, again, there's much more atheists. Atheists are much more, you know, opinionated, much more vocal. Much more willing to defend their rights to not believe. And that's why you have them denying rights to gays, but not really going all that far when it comes to denying rights to atheists. Now, sometimes they do. The law in Oklahoma, which I guess is defunct now, they tried to pass a thing where you could only get married if you had a clergyman sign-off. So, you know, and you still have 7 states in this country where atheists can't run for office. But a lot of that, again, is much more under the table because, you know, we've had a loud voice for a bit longer than the gays have. I mean, for it to be kind of socially acceptable to be gay is somewhat new. I mean, we have to recognize that. And, you know, you could also say the same about atheism. It's kind of a new thing that it's okay to be atheist, but that's more of a relative thing. It's new in the sense of the 2,000 years of Christian domination, you know, not so much new as in late 20th century new, like it is with, again, gays being encouraged to come out of the closet, not being automatically sent to fucking reprogramming camps and that kind of shit. So, yeah, I think they're just picking an easy target, trying to make this the hill they're going to die on because they figure they can win it, because they figure enough non-Christians probably figure gays are, probably aren't huge fans of gays. Well, they just get slapped in the face, and they're wrong, and they're wrong again, and it's good to fucking prove them wrong.
I agree. Of course, for a slightly different slant angle on that, to me, and I think I've brought this up on the show before, right, is that, we're almost talking, in my opinion, the level of the Confederate flag here, right? I mean, this is a fucking, or should be, a non-fucking issue, right? To deny people privileges who are simply seeking to do what other people are allowed to do, and something that does not fucking harm anybody, anything. It's archaic that we're even debating it at this fucking time, right? I mean, it's preposterous to me that it's even an issue. Okay. Now, with that said, what is also remarkable to me is that, and you kind of touched on this a little bit, and we don't have too much time here left in the show, but again, as you mentioned, we are talking about such a small percentage of the population, right? I mean, I think what are we talking? 3-4% of the population here, right? And you would think that this is something that is going to affect half the fucking country, or you would think from the amount of press and headlines and all that sort of thing that, we're talking, again, like half the country. When we're only talking about 4% of the country, okay? Now, that is why we are a republic and not a democracy. And I think it perfectly exemplifies that, right? So the minority has just as much say in the law as the majority, right?
Yeah.
However, so again, I combine this thing here with saying, to me, it's a fucking non-issue. It should have been, it never should have been not allowed. Ever. Now, again, I'm still confused in terms of, I guess, okay, this is now, it's unconstitutional for states to ban this, but is this like saying to Catholic churches, okay, you have to marry gay people? Or is it just that in every state now, gay people are legally recognized as married and get to put them on the insurance and all that shit? That's a legitimate question I'm asking you, because I don't know what this decision is specifically saying. Do you?
Yeah. No, I mean.
No, but
again,
do you know that? Do you know
what?
the answer to that?
I'm sorry. Can you repeat the question?
This decision, right, is not saying that Catholic churches have to start allowing this, and priests have to start marrying gays, right? All it's saying is that gay people have the right to be married and afforded all the insurance and all those sort of things that other married people get.
Right. No, it's no existing marriage is being affected by in any way, shape, or form by this. No church is being forced to perform gay weddings. As for some people want to argue about the whole bakery thing, and I'm sorry, but if you want to discriminate against people for being gay, open a Bible store or a fucking church, because you're legally not going to be allowed to do that. And even if you are legally allowed to do it, then righteous people are going to make sure you get your ass shut down or your business is ruined some way or another. But no, there's no harm here happening to anybody in any kind of way. The only harm that was happening was to the gays, who were not allowed to get married and therefore not allowed to enjoy the same rights under the law that other married people get. That injury has been corrected, and therefore justice has been served. To act otherwise is just fucking bigoted insanity.
Okay, so all right, so it validates my point even fucking more in that this should never have been an issue. It should never have been banned in any state. As soon as the first gay couple wanted to get fucking married and put on each other's insurance, it should have been like, oh yeah, of course. Bam. Right? Not even a fucking issue. Ever. In a civilized, advanced country. And especially a secular one. Which we are. Sorry, Christians. We're a secular country, okay? This is not a theocracy, okay? But for the final couple of minutes here, so to me, again, I say, okay, non-issue, congratulations, I think it's great, it's about time, all that other shit. But I also can't help but think, with the numbers of gay people, and the press and headlines and everything that fucking they've been making over the last decades, right? I mean, you're talking about a total of roughly 9 million people that recognize as gay. Down to a minute and a half here. But you're talking about 9 million people who identify as gay in this country. Well, there's at least 100 million who identify that 9/11 was a fucking inside job. Where's their press?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
150 million think there should be a new investigation. Why aren't they dominating the fucking headlines? Right?
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, it's the reason, but I think the reason that we're seeing so much about this, and the reason that it's such a popular thing, is because passions run deep on both sides. Certainly, I think a lot of people are very passionate about equal rights, and I think that on the other side you have a lot of people who are passionate about their silly little Bibles and their myths. When it comes to the 9/11 thing, I think that you have those of us who have seen the evidence and disbelieve the official narrative, who are very passionate about it, and the majority of people just don't give a shit, So yeah. I think where you only have passion on one side of a thing, it's not going to be as big an issue.
Yeah, might be true, and probably a good answer, and one we're going to have to accept here as we run out of time. But, hey, thanks for tuning in, Adamizer. Thank you. As always, great job. We are going to wrap it up here at the front row at the Freak Show. We will be back again next week, and again right here on blogtalkradio.com/front row. For Adamizer, I am Crafty, and you freaks be good now. You hear? Good night, brother.